Hey y'all, I'm Lindsay. I have a blog, Repurpose and Upcycle, where I share DIY home projects, crafts, and today I'm working on painting laminate cabinets, and I wanted to share you a few things that I've learned. I'll turn it around. So this is where we started. This is the color that I wanted to get rid of. They're laminate cabinets. And one thing, laminate cabinets are actually, most of them today are actually melamine. And melamine is a form of plastic. And that kind of explains why it might be kind of difficult to paint laminate cabinets if you're doing it the wrong way. So as you can see, I've already painted my top cabinets, and this is the color I'm going for. Let me show you a few things I've been doing today. So with the first coat, well, let me back up. The first time I ever painted any cabinets, I kind of freaked out because, you see that? I was afraid I had ruined my cabinets because that's what it looked like. But if you keep applying paint, you see this is the second coat. Let me show you. And then this is the third coat. So eventually, if you keep adding coats, it starts to stick and eventually looks pretty good. So as far as technique, let me show you something else. Sorry for the mess in my cabinets. Okay, so as far as technique goes, the first thing I did was remove the doors and the drawers. And once I removed the hardware, I wiped it down real good. I just used Lysol wipes, and then I used a lint-free cloth. That's real important because you don't want any little specks or anything on there when you're going to spray them or paint them. Some people use a degreaser, and that's really good if there's a lot of like dirt and grime on your cabinets. That's really important. The second step is, well, let me talk about the second step. With these cabinets, I primed. Somebody had told me, and I had read on a few blogs, that if you're going from the brown to the white, it's best to use a gray primer. So I used the gray primer, and honestly, I felt like it was just as much work to do the primer and then the paint rather than just painting. So I used, like on these cabinets, I used 2 or 3 coats of primer, and then I had to do at least 2 to 2.5 coats of white paint just to cover up the gray primer. So if I could do it again, I definitely would have gone straight to the paint, or I would have used a white primer. So second step, primer. If you choose to use primer, if you're going from really dark to light, you might want to do that. With these cabinets, since I was just not going quite white, just a light gray, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to try to straight up paint. So I'm using 3 to 4 coats of paint and 2 to 3 coats of top coat. And one important thing that I've found really helpful is with your third or fourth coat, whichever one you plan to be your last, I always use a foam brush. The foam brush really minimizes the brush strokes, and I feel like it really gives it that smooth look. I feel like this looks pretty smooth, like this. Oh, and one important thing. After you've painted, make sure you go back and wipe up any little droplet. Drives me crazy. Once it's dry, there's really nothing you can do. So make sure you go back and clean it up. So for the final step, and it's, in my opinion, the most important step, is the top coat. I have found this General Finishes High Performance water-based top coat to be really, really, really successful. Personally, when I've done like the polyurethanes or some of the other top coats, they tend to yellow. And especially when I was doing the white, I did not want any kind of yellowing because it just wouldn't look right. And I've had a lot of success with this one. I love it. I've used it on furniture. I've used it on a lot of stuff. And once again, it's the General Finishes High Performance top top coat. And for my paint, I used the General Finishes Milk Paint in, it's one of their bright whites for this. And for this, I decided not to go with the milk paint, mainly because I couldn't find the shade of gray that I wanted. So I started looking at other grays, and I decided to go with, it's actually a Benjamin Moore gray, but I had Ace Hardware mix it. And this is their cabinet door and trim paint. And by the way, all of this is water-based, and I like to use a water-based because personally I can't stand the smell of the oil-based. Some people really swear by the oil-based and say it's the only way to go when you're painting cabinets. But for me, I've had a lot of luck with these water-based paints, and I don't think I'd do it any other way. Oh, and one more thing. I know with my island, I used the primer, and I decided not to use the primer on the rest of my cabinets. So far, I've been pretty pleased. I'm hoping I'm not going to regret that choice. But so far, it's gone really well. I am going to have to use more top coat just to make sure you don't scratch down to that bottom level back to the regular color of the cabinets. And I think that's about it for all my tips and tricks for painting cabinets. If you want more details, go to my blog. It's repurposeandupcycle.com. Thank you.